like deja vu here.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, Coach, sorry, if you want to open it up. Well comfortable with Charlotte Sports Live and Queen City News. How surreal is it to kind of be back here and what this process was like?
Well, a guy told me a long time ago, if you stay in a business long enough, you go full circle. And as I was driving over here when I arrived and looked up at the skyline, and I couldn't think about how much it had changed, okay, since back in 1995 when we started. And but it's great to be back. I have nothing but great memories of my time here, and look forward to working with Coach Reich and Coach Evero and doing whatever I can to help us be successful.
Don, Scott Fowler, glad to see you.
Hey, Scott.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Tell me what you envision as your role here.
Well, I've always believed this, that to be successful in any role, you've got to please the people you're working for. And when you go into a new role, okay, you kind of evaluate that role and ask yourself, how can I be the most help to, number one, Ejiro? How can I be the most help to Frank? And so that's my goal, okay, is to try to do as much as I can to help Ejiro be successful as a defensive coordinator and Frank as a head coach. And I've always felt that way as a staff. I know the best staff members that I've had, okay, are the ones that did a tremendous job within their role and were a good part of the team.
Tom, Steve Reed, Associated Press, welcome back.
Steve?
At this point in your career, what is it that still drives you? I mean, a lot of people would probably be retired and, you know, on the beach, and I mean, why is it you're still want to do this?
Well, I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, why are you still doing this? I do it because I enjoy it. I know that probably Scott and you will remember back in '96, I can remember we had a lot of national media in here. Some guy asked me, what do you want to be doing when you're 72 years old? And I looked at him and I said, I want to be coaching. And God willing, here I am still coaching. So I enjoy the competitiveness, the X and O part of the game. Still, I don't think there's anything that matches Sunday afternoon for 3 hours. You know, you put in all that work during the week, and there's no in between. You either feel real good or you don't feel very good at all. And I don't know what you find to match that, okay, when it's all over.
Last I heard with Carolina Blitz, Ejiro was just in here and he was asked if he keeps you hip. And he laughed and said, you stay plenty hip. So I want to know, how do you stay hip?
Well, being around these young guys and watching them compete keeps you young, I'll say that, you know. No, I think the game, you know, the demands of the game, all right. So a lot of things have changed. This will be 37 years for me in the league, but some things, and the most important things, I don't think ever change.
Dominic Carboni from NBC here in Charlotte. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Wondering if there's anything when you coach Frank here, or now have thought back to and reflected on, that made you think, even in that moment, that he would go on to become an NFL head coach?
Well, he thought out everything. He was a really good decision maker. I thought he had great leadership ability. That was one of the reasons he was brought in here, okay, to be the first quarterback. I think guys gravitated towards him, and it's been fun for me to watch Frank grow through being an assistant coach, a coordinator, and now a head coach. We had our first staff meeting this morning, and, you know, very well organized, very detailed, creates a vision of what he wants things to look like. And I just think he has tremendous leadership capabilities.
Hey, Don, David Newton, welcome back.
Yeah.
What about the veteran of this defense, of this staff entirely, impresses you the most? Because it's kind of like when you were building that first team, you want a lot of veterans on the team as far as players to have success right away. How can that be done with the staff?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities, okay, when you put together your staff and you put together your team. And you guys remember when we first put together our team here, you know, I think one of the reasons we were able to have success early is because we had a great locker room, We had a number of high character guys and guys that were unselfish, okay, that it wasn't I, me, my, it was we, us, our. And we know there's going to be ups and downs through the course of the year. Everything's not going to go always the way you want it to go. And how you handle the adversity is extremely important. And then more important, I think, if you are successful, how you handle success, because I think that's much harder to handle than adversity. But the staff, I think, sets the tone. I think Frank has done an outstanding job of putting together a staff of not, there's experience, but there's going to be a lot of energy, I think, and a lot of good teachers.
Don, having been a head coach and a coordinator several times in the past, being a senior assistant, is that like a 30,000-foot view over the whole thing, or kind of how does that work on a day-to-day basis?
Well, again, I think back when I started doing this, because, for my career, I had 6 years as a position coach and then 25 years as either a coordinator or head coach, and then this will be the 6th year of doing this. So what I've tried to do is say, how can I help the staff and help the organization? And, many times it's just things that you've experienced over those 35, 36 years. And and the role kind of evolves, I think, depending on who you're with. One of the reasons I'm here is because of Ejiro. Ejiro was our quality control guy at Green Bay in 2016. I was extremely impressed with him. Very intelligent, very good work ethic. We only had him for 1 year, and then Sean McVay hired him with the Rams. But when he got the Denver defensive coordinator's job and called, I said, there's no question in my mind, okay, because first of all, I like the person, and he's got great leadership capabilities. He's like this, he's not an up and down guy. The players will know what they're getting every day when they come into the meetings in the locker room, and I think the players respond to that. They respect that. He'll have credibility because he really knows what he's doing, and in my mind, he has that it factor.
Hey, Tom, Joe Person with The Athletic. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Wondered if you've had conversations with Ejiro about kind of like helping him get to the next step, and I know it's not rushing to get there, but to become a head coach in this league.
Well, I think he's got the right perspective in terms of he knows that his job is to be the best defensive coordinator in the league, and I think he's got those capabilities, all right, and so he focuses on what's the task at hand, what's right in front of him, but there's no doubt in my mind that somewhere down the road, okay, that will happen for him. I've just got so much respect for him, and he's such a humble guy. He's going to give everybody else credit. I've said before, I think the players here will love playing for him. I saw it happen in Denver in 1 year. The players love playing for him there, and that's a big part of it.
Curious too, besides the skyline, as you've driven around the last several days, what else has changed? Any restaurants you went to find and they were condos or anything like that?
Well, the guys that covered the team here, remember I spent a lot of time here the first 2 years, okay? There was an office downstairs that I didn't leave very much, so there were a couple restaurants. One of them's not here any longer, okay? But I used to have my dinner there about every night. I had a booth back in the corner and a paper, and so when I would leave here, right down the street here, it was a little Italian restaurant.
Yesterday, Coach Frank Reich was saying that he would despise having a bunch of yes men on his staff, and that he wants people with different thought processes. How important is it for you guys to all think differently, be on the same page though, and also be able to tell Frank when they disagree?
Well, I think what you're saying, that's part of being a good leader. You don't want people, okay, that won't express their opinion. To me, that's the way you grow, and that's part of having a good staff and a good team. And so I just believe that's the way Frank's going to be. He's going to want everybody to express their opinion, and as part of a collective effort, and he's the leader of everything.
Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. You've also worked with Peter Hansen and Bert Watts in Denver. I was just curious, what did they bring to the table into this staff?
Well, I think starting with Peter, he was with Ejiro with the 49ers, and so he's been around the system for quite a while. He then went on to become a defensive coordinator, at the college level, and I think he's a good teacher. Again, I thought that his players really performed well this past year. Bert Watts is a guy that I spend a lot of time with in the meeting room, and brings a lot of energy. And every day I've always felt that within a staff you have to have certain energy guys, and not everybody's the same. But I think Pete is a very good teacher. I think Bert's a good teacher. He's been a coordinator in college. They're both guys that relate well to the players, I think.
Dom, as you look at this, you've been around the 3-4 forever. As you look at this team, what do you see as maybe pieces that you need to add? Obviously, there's differences with the 3-4, bigger nose tackle, speed rushers on the outside. What do you see as this team needing to change to fit that?
Well, we're just starting the process right now, of evaluation, because I think the first thing you do is we've got to do a good job of evaluating the players who run our team, right now. But having gone through this many times, what you want it to look like, but the initial phases, I think it starts with who are your best players, how can we get the best players on the field and utilize their abilities, and you adapt the scheme more to the players, than adapting the players to the scheme, I think, because I think you make a big mistake if you try to plug a square peg into a round hole. So it's a process you go through, and we're just initially starting that process, and it starts with doing a thorough evaluation of the guys that we have right now.
How many tweaks has Ejiro made to what you did initially with the 3-4? What kind of tweaks has he made to what you do that have maybe taken it up a level?
Well, everything evolves, this is such a copycat league that the minute that you have success in one area, everybody studies it, and then it's less successful, So you have to constantly, what's going to give us an edge here, there. And sometimes that depends on the players you have, adapting to, what you think will give your top playmakers a chance to make plays. And so that, to me, that's the fun part and the challenge, coming into a brand new situation, because it's like putting a puzzle together, and so what you want it to look like, but it'll be a work in progress.
I'm curious, when you watched film on the Panthers when you played them, what jumped out to you on their roster?
Well, I thought they were a physical team when we played them here. I mean, their front did a very good job of blocking us. They ran the ball well, which set up their play action passing game. And so I always evaluate a team, can they keep you on your heels a little bit, keeping the down and distance to their advantage? Because coaching defense, I've always felt like if we can dictate, for example, win on first down and we get you in second and long, there's an awful lot of things we can do to create problems for you. And in this day and age, with these quarterbacks that are in the league, you've got to be disruptive to them to have success, I think. But I thought the Panthers did a great job of dictating the down and distance because of their ability to run the ball and play action pass on the early downs.
Will part of your role be self-scouting for the offense as well? Just kind of how defenses will see the offense. I know Jim's also involved in all three phases, but will you help self-scout too as well?
Well, I'll have my hands full probably scouting the opponent for the defense and the tendencies and those types of things, So that'll be, where a lot of my focus will be in terms of looking at the upcoming opponent, presenting their tendencies and those types of things.
Tom, who have you heard from since it was announced you were coming back?
Well, I've gotten a number of calls, okay, some of them haven't had a chance to respond yet to, but just people that you've worked with, okay, and obviously anytime you're going into a new situation this day and age, there's plenty of people calling you wanting to get a position, on the staff, all right, so, and that becomes tougher and tougher when you've worked on as many staffs as I have. There's a lot of people, okay, and have worked with, but that's one of the things that I look forward to on this staff, because guys like James Campen, I was with for 9 years in Green Bay, Deuce Staley, I was with in Detroit, Todd Wash, I've been with in Jacksonville and Detroit, the guys coming from Denver and Ejiro, okay, that we've worked together. So I've worked with most of the guys on the staff.
And what about folks from this organization who maybe you were with previously?
Well, Donnie Toner, our equipment man, okay, was the assistant equipment man when we came here. I mean, as a matter of fact, he told me, he said he remembered when he picked us up for the first press conference and carried our bags, okay, to the hotel for the first press conference. Was it Marriott or down here back in 1995?
What was your impression of David Tepper during the interview process, and how involved was he in even bringing you here?
I really haven't had much contact with Mr. Tepper, but I certainly look forward to meeting him, and I've heard nothing but really great things about him.
As I recall, you look in great shape now, but back in the day, I think you started the treadmill at 6'9" and worked your way up. What are you at now?
Well, that's part of my day, okay, is getting on the treadmill. So it's like getting up and brushing your teeth.
We've heard a lot of fun ways to describe Deuce Staley. How would you describe Deuce in about a sentence?
Deuce brings as much energy to staff as any staff I've been around. I mean, he's a guy that you feel his presence when he's in a room.
Anything else, guys?